Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's Harry from Hasper TV here with another review of a game. So Spurs went and beat Aston Villa 4-0 in a six-pointer on Sunday. And how did the game go? So at the beginning, it seemed quite sort of even. I think Emery went with like a low block, 3-4-3, and tried to nullify Spurs. And for the first 20 or so minutes, it seemed like it was sort of working. I mean, Leon Bailey found himself one-on-one in some instances in the first half. I felt like the Spurs attackers weren't creating anything, which kind of reflected in the sense that neither team had a shot in the first half. And in the second half, once the floodgates opened, there was only one team that was going to win the game. Of course, Johnson got a goal, Werner got a goal, Son got a goal, and Madison got a goal with a great cross by Sarr, by the way, who was my man of the match. But I felt like the difference was sort of just Spurs just had a bit more energy in them, and that's I think we're kind of reflecting the fact that Villa played in midweek. They did seem a bit leggy, if that's the right word to put it, and Spurs kind of took Villa to the cleaners in the end. Once McGinn got sent off at 2-0, it was game over really. I mean, Villa now obviously the top four is out of their hands. Spurs actually have the top four in their hands now. So if we win our last 10 games, we get top four again. But if we don't, obviously both teams have a run in, which is quite difficult, especially Tottenham. We've still got to go to West Ham, Anfield, Chelsea. It's going to be rearranged. We've got we've got to host Arsenal and City as well. So there is still a lot of tough games left. So it's still a long way to go. But in terms of the top four, this was a massive result for Spurs. Like they had to win today, I think, to catch up with Villa. If they didn't, there was problems. And maybe now it'll push Emery to focus more on the Conference League, where they have got a second leg on Ajax next week. So we can only hope. But maybe Villa's starting to fall off. It's possible. But on the Spurs performance, it's the first clean sheet in probably months. I can remember at least. And Van der Ven, I know he came off later on, and Dragusin came in to replace him, but he was arguably Spurs' best player in the first half. I thought Sarr overall was probably Spurs' best player. I know Sky gave Son man of the match, but I didn't feel like he really did much. I know he got 2 assists and a goal, but I didn't really think he was that involved. And I don't really thought that he got these goals and assists when they went down to 10 men, and there was just more space for him, really. I thought Johnson did all right. Of course, he scored, and he seemed not better on the left. I just felt like he was maybe taking his player on a bit more. But I still have question marks over him. I thought Kulusevski had another poor game. I don't exactly know what he did, if I'm being honest. Basuma, again, for all the praise I gave him last time, I thought he looked very shaky, especially in the first half. He looked very shaky. Madison, I thought, looked a bit better this week. He was kind of finding Son a bit more. His balls over the top and his switches and everything, they seem to be coming off. In defence, Adogi and Poro just their normal selves really, and as I mentioned Van der Ven earlier. But I think Romero, okay, we won the game 4-0, but I didn't think he had a great game, if I'm being honest. I thought Romero could have easily been taken off for Dragusin at halftime, if I'm just saying. And I think with Van der Ven's injury now, Dragusin might get a run. I mean, it might be a good opportunity to see what Dragusin can do. And I thought when he came on, he actually did all right. Of course, Højbjerg and Werner came on late on, like I mentioned earlier, and got his goal, which can only help his confidence, really. But once they were down to 10 Villa, that was it. The game was over. And obviously, Spurs go to Fulham next Saturday night, 5:30. That's the next game. I hope I get a stream on with the Fulham fan on. But do I think Spurs going into that are in better position? Yes, of course. And Spurs need to go to Fulham to get 3 points because the hard games will start eventually again. Because they're going to have to rearrange that Chelsea fixture. You've got West Ham away, got to go to Liverpool, which, if you watch Super Sunday, they easily could have beaten City. So, yeah, all in all, it's 3 points. In terms of top four, it's a great result. But some people talk about the title on Twitter, so it's ridiculous. We're way too far behind the top three, and there's still massive gulf in class between us and Arsenal. Of course, I know we have to host them later, but I just think top fourth is our best bet this season at this point, and to me it's kind of disappointing because I thought something like the Carabao Cup could have been something we did a run in, and I would have happily sacrificed finishing the Champions League for a cup. But yeah, it is what it is, and we move on.